Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 154 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing a step-by-step process of getting your first land deal. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured Discord members. Today's question is from Jason. Jason asked, I'm going through counties to mail for my first mailer. What is a good days on market to target for a first county?
Good question, Jason. And I think a lot of people I think this is the number one step people kind of get held up on. There is no perfect county to choose. Yeah, we try to give direction in the course opposed to like, this is the county that you're going to choose. And that's what you're looking for right now in terms of it's just a little more direction. So I don't know, Dan. I think between 50 and 150 is pretty reasonable for days on market. I know things are changing and they're probably a little higher than they were 6, 8, 10 months ago. So yeah, I think 50 to 150 isn't unreasonable. Those aren't going to be some crazy hot counties that are over 50, maybe 75 to 150. Yeah, that's what I would do, honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Other than that, let's get into today's show. Today's topic, a step-by-step process to getting your first land deal. We're going to lay it out for you from the very beginning, the first process, first step to selling and getting your wire, getting your money. And we just want to outline this for people who, one, are just starting, two, maybe have done a few deals, Ron, but don't really understand the whole process and what it looks like actually written out. So I have 12 steps written down here, Ron. Let's hop right in.
Let's get to it, Dan.
So the first step to getting your first land deal, and if you guys are in here, that's great because you've done part of this already. Education. If you're listening to this, you're in the right place, but you got to educate yourself. We're talking about getting the first step to getting your first land deal is some sort of education. Like, how are you going to learn to buy and sell land? Like, there's a big process to it. Trial and error is not going to cut it. It won't work, or it's going to take you years to figure everything out. So, education, but you're in the right place. That's what I wanted to talk about first, Ron. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just think and we'll go over each one of these for whatever minute or so, minute and a half, I think will be valuable. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I think that's basically the purpose of so much online education right now is to give people a blueprint, essentially how to do something so you do not have to reinvent the wheel or figure everything out by making mistakes.
Exactly. And just like Ron said, I think in last episode, he talked about how people are investing $100,000 in education in terms of college, Ron. And e-learning is set to take off 2.5x over the next 5 years for a reason. It's because things are changing. Less people are going to college. More people are realizing other ROIs they can get outside of college without having to put up that $100,000 and take out all that debt. It is really an issue right now in my mind. But that fact, 2.5x in the next 5 years, is something to think about. Step number two, Ron, you got to choose a county or an area you want to target. That's the first step. Like, where are we going? We send mail, right? Or text, but mainly mail. Where are we going to target to acquire land? Where do we want to buy and sell land?
Yeah, so it's a selection process. And it's as simple as whatever. First, you choose an area. Like maybe I'm not going to say a specific area, but a certain area of a state. And then maybe you run numbers on 5 to 7 counties in there. Choose the best 1, 2, 3 counties to attack there. Run a lot of data, guys, and then just you got to make the choice at the end of the day. So yeah, that's step number 2. Once you have that area selected, you can get on to the fun parts, which is I guess Daniel can go from there.
Pricing your mail. That's fun, Ron.
Pulling
Because
data slash
that's
pricing your
step
mail is
number
that
three.
next.
Yeah, pulling data and pricing your mail. So what we do, we recommend blind offers, and that's been by far the most efficient source of acquiring under market value land. And that's what we do. Our goal is to acquire, to buy, to talk to sellers who are potentially or looking to sell under market value land so we can resell it for more and make lots and lots of money. Works really well. It works really well through blind offers. And that's where we just send a letter to Amy for her 5 acres in Hamilton County, Ohio, and we say, "Hi, Amy, I want to buy your 5 acres for $55,000 cash. Here's the contract." It's 2 pages. It's more in depth than that, but that's the premise of it. So that's what we recommend is pricing your mail to get your land deals, whether you're pricing or sending out neutral letters, Ron.
Yeah.
It depends, but we recommend pricing.
Yeah, so you'll essentially at this step, step 3, you're gonna pull your data from our data source or from a data source. You're gonna get all the you chose an area, you're gonna get all the vacant landowners for a certain acreage, pulled, and then you're gonna price that data. Like, what do I wanna offer for these pieces of land? Typically, we offer about 30 to 45% of market value. So you're gonna get all that in there, get that on the list, and that is step 3 for you.
Step 4, actually sending your mail. So how do we acquire properties? We priced it. We have those letters ready to go. No, we're not, licking the envelope, sending them ourselves. We have services that do it for us, and we mass send them out 5,000, 2,000, 10,000 at a time. So the step 4, Ron, sending your mail. That's the final step before actually getting leads if you're sending mail. If this step changes in any fashion, it's going to change to a text, right?
Yep.
So let's say instead of sending mail, you're sending a text. So step 4 would be sending a text, but clicking that send button and getting the things
Yep.
rolling.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing in this step, the mailing company is combining your priced data along with your letter, and that is giving unique letters out to all those vacant landowners. And they're gonna stamp it, they're gonna mail, they're gonna do everything for you. It's basically you just ordering the mail. It's about 62 cents per envelope per piece, whatever you want to say, for a stamp for everything included. But yeah, that's step 4.
Step 5, wait 2 weeks and then receive calls. This is people don't like this part. I'll tell you that because they get all anxious and antsy and waiting for their calls and they don't know what to do. But that's the reality is wait 2 weeks and continue to join the calls and everything else. Join whatever. Just educate yourself is pretty much what I'm trying to say during those 2 weeks and continue to price your next mailers and get your next ones ready to go.
Yeah. So yeah, this is coming. Step 1 through 12 is coming from that first mailer. Step 5 is it's a waiting game. It's 2 weeks. Like it's not. It takes time for the mail to go. Our mail house that we partner with is out of Florida, so that's where the mail is going to come out of, and it's going to take 10 days to 14 days to get to your sellers. Then you'll start. Then this is the fun stuff, right, Dan?
Well, yes, but if you do text, I want to talk about that a little bit. If you do text too for this step as well, you
Yeah,
don't need to wait. You need to wait about 10 minutes instead of 10 days, Ron, for texting. So that's something to keep in mind
you
as
have
well.
those
You can
leads
get instant
immediately.
leads,
Yep.
or you can text when your mail's out. Like that's not a bad idea. You want leads, you're antsy, you want to make $50,000 really fast. Start texting when your mail's out during that wait period as well. All right, step 6 is the fun part, Ron. Get your property under contract and to negotiate with leads.
Yeah, so you have these calls coming in. So you're waiting 2 weeks, you send 2,500 mailers. You're going to get anywhere from 20 to 40 calls, somewhere in there for 2,500 mailers. I don't know, 10, 15 of those people are just going to be yelling at you. 10 people are going to be very interested, but maybe they want more money. And then you're going to get 5 purchase agreements from there. And now you're in that negotiation phase. Like all this stuff is happening in this phase. You're negotiating with these 40 callers essentially. Just because they called you and they're angry doesn't mean they don't want to sell for any price. Like there might be a negotiation and a deal to be had from those calls.
Completely agree. So you get something under contract, step 6, you're negotiating, you're making something happen, you're being aggressive and offensive on the phones. Step 7 is due diligence. You get something under contract. Now we have to do our due diligence on it. We're not just going to say, "Hey seller, here's $50,000 for your property," without looking, making sure they're the owner, making sure the old deeds chain of title is not broken or anything like that. And we use title companies for that, making sure there's access, proper access, physical access, legal access, not in a flood zone, all the different due diligence stuff we do. That is a very, very, very important step right there. That's step 7.
Yeah. And due diligence is essentially combining the price that we're under contract for along with all the physical legal aspects that we know about the property and and then you're going to come up with is this maybe that's the next step, is this a good deal?
Yes, and it's not the next step. My next step, that's part of that process there, due
Got it.
diligence and decision making. So next step would be actually to send the title and go through the title process.
Is this
Step
8?
8. Yep.
8. So step 8, yeah. I mean, so we're not closing things ourselves. Like the title company, the attorney is going to be that middle person for us. So we have that contract. So go back a couple steps. We got that contract. We did our due diligence. This is all a 24 to 48 hour period. we basically made sure like, okay, this makes sense. You'll usually give the seller like a heads up. I'm sending this to the title. They're saying it's going to take about 2 weeks. So that's where we are right now. You sent the purchase agreement to title, let them know this is a cash purchase. The purchase agreement is going to have all the seller's information if they need to reach out to them, but you want to stay in communication with the seller, keep them updated on a timeline. And I think we got a little bit of a waiting game now again, Dan.
Yep, exactly, and hopefully you're sending out more mail or text or whatever proof of
More
concepts there
leads.
now. More leads, yeah, focusing on the old leads as well, following up, trying to get those properties. Always work is to be done, Ron, during these process because there's old leads, new leads, more mail you can be sending, more text you can be sending, whatever it is. Selling when you finally buy them, you're gonna have to sell them. We'll get into that soon. But step 9, we close on the property. So we sent it to title, now we close. And whether you close with your own money or close with deal funding, that could be another step. I didn't put that as a step because it just depends. But step 8 would be source your funding and close on the property. Or 9, step
Yeah.
9, I'm sorry.
Pretty black and white there. So that's going to actually be a closing. You got the seller all lined up for closing. They sign their documents. You sign your documents. Those all come back to the attorney, the closing title company, and then you wire your money and that gets to the seller. Again, they are the middleman in this transaction. No money is going to ever go to the seller directly. It's going to go through the title company to make sure all documents were signed correctly before those funds are dispersed to the seller because you don't want to have funds dispersed to a seller and then something be wrong with the signing.
Exactly. And title just really, really like the whole process secures your money pretty much. It's just insurance for your property. It's making sure you're actually buying the right property, making sure there's no liens on it, all that stuff. It's just an insurance for your property. It's really important to go. We highly recommend not closing on your own because you can do that and file run on your own. It's important to use a title company, especially for the deals we're doing. We're not doing $800 deals or $2,000 deals. We're doing $40,000 deals that we're selling for 90,000. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So you closed on the property. Step 10, Ron, list your property for sale. Get it on the MLS, get it on Realtor, all the MLS sites, Realtor.com, Zillows, all that. Flat rate broker or use an agent. But the key here, whether you're using an agent, whatever it is get your property for sale.
Yeah. And I kind of like talking about the timeline on these, Dan. This timeline from, are we on 10 or 11?
10, there's 13 total actually.
So this timeline from step 9 when you bought it to when it's listed should be less than 24 hours. You need this business is sustainable, this business is scalable by speed. Being fast with everything you do in this business and diligent at the same time, but getting that posting up within 24 hours of when you bought it is the longest it should be. Like there is no excuse for not having it up. So yeah, getting it listed on all the sites, the more eyes we can get on our property, the better chance we have of selling it fast.
Exactly. And step 11, Ron, is sell your property and handle, you post it for sale. You're going to have to handle inbound calls and it's to get your property under contract on that side. So that's your goal is to get your property under contract. Leading up to that, you're going to have calls, leads, and all that. I combine these into one as two as just sell your property, but they're going to be leads and then you have to send the leads a sales agreement or your realtor handles that. But the key is to get them to sign a sales agreement and give you earnest money or
Yep.
whatever that situation looks like in the contract, Ron. That's step 11.
Yeah, so that step can look differently based on how you're selling your property, whether it's with a realtor, or whatever, or if you're selling yourself, if a realtor comes in. But yeah, getting it under contract. Yeah, I mean, selling it, getting under contract is going to be managing all the leads coming in, and making sure you have a qualified buyer, and then getting that contract signed. And I guess we're going on from there.
Exactly. And this is 13 steps that we came up with, guys. I could break this down into probably 40 to 50 if you wanted me to, just based on like choose if you're using Realtor or not using Realtor, choose your deal funding source, you know, listed on the flat rate broker site. All these, there's so many different steps within these. So we consolidated these to the 12, 13, most crucial, and it can break down from that, Ron, just to keep your mind on. But all right, we are on step 12 now, Ron. So we sold the property, got it under contract. Step 12 out of 13 is title on the for sale side, just like we did. This one's a little more simple though.
Yeah, so we're under contract. Getting that if there's a realtor involved, realtor's typically going to get the contract to the title company. If there's not a realtor involved, then you'll get that contract to a title company, keep the buyer in the loop, everything like that. but you're using a title company just like when we bought it, it's pretty similar. Ideally, use the same title company. It's not always going to be like that. But if you use the same title company, usually it is a little cheaper and they're going to be familiar with the property. It should be a faster process.
Exactly. And I guess you can probably guess what step number 13 is, Ron.
Do it again or get the money. Get the money, get it
Get your
sold.
money,
Yep.
close it and get paid.
14's do it again.
Yeah,
But yeah, 13, get paid, get to the closing table because that's when you make your money. You bought the property for $10,000 and you're under contract for 30. After closing costs, whatever it is, you're getting 28,000 from it. You made $18,000. Get that money and do it again.
exactly. Do a repeat, but hopefully during this whole process you're sending out more mail, and the key is not to do this process, wait for the process to be over and do it again. It's
Mhm.
to start this process, get other deals under contract, be selling some and get a whole complete deal flow. So you have some you're buying, some you're selling, some listed for sale. The complete deal flow is how you make millions of dollars. You don't make millions of dollars by doing this once, waiting 4 months for it to be over, and then doing it again. You have to keep this rolling throughout all stages. And that's why,
Yeah.
systems and processes and a proper CRM and everything are so crucial. But those are the 13 steps that I have. I wish we could have made it 12 steps, Ron. It sounds better than 13, but that's all right.
But, yeah, when you're saying that, it just makes a lot of sense. Like, that's exactly how we built our CRM for you guys is, like, by being able to manage, obviously, multiple things in multiple steps, and just, like, this almost, like, goes through the CRM exactly is how the deal flow is. Let us know, though, if you guys like this type of episode. Obviously, this is a little more black and white of an episode in terms of just going through, but if you guys are just getting started, this hopefully kinda aligns to exactly what happens through the life cycle of a single deal.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.